Okay, so I want to be a pirate. I want to be a businessman. I want to be me. I want to be successful. I want to be strong, powerful. I don't want to be Putin. I damn sure don't want to be Joe Biden. I want to be a man. And honestly, that's where the whole of my goal is. Now, yesterday I discussed being coached, spending 12 months, little over a year now, learning that I have control over one thing, and that's me. What I say, what I do, what I think, how I feel, there's nobody else on the planet that can control that. Just me. And that includes lying. Lying to myself, lying to my business, lying to you, lying to friends and family and clients. Don't have coworkers anymore. Because I spent years lying. I started blaming COVID. I started blaming myself only after my poor reaction to COVID. And I started saying things like, well, when COVID came around, I just stopped trying. I just gave in. No, that's true. Absolutely full-throated, total harmony truth. But I stopped giving a shit. And I stopped working toward what I claim to want probably years before that. My coach, Garrett J. White, talks about 4 elements of being in business. There's the hustler, there's the entrepreneur, there's the CEO, and there's the king. And he makes an illustration in a training that he held live a few years back. The hustler is the guy who you need. He's your assassin. He's your hard ass. He's your hustler. He's the guy that goes out, beats the bushes, runs around with a duffel bag full of money, as Coach Garrett talks. He burns shit to the ground when things aren't going quite right. And every man, every business owner needs this element in himself. But that hustler profile, that hustler persona has to be kept on a leash a lot of the time. Now, I'm in hustler mode right now. I'm hustling. I'm not being an entrepreneur. I'm not entrepreneuring my way through a goddamn thing. I have put myself in a position for years now to hustle, to scramble to get shit done, to scramble to get the money I need to make it through the next few weeks, months, but not more. Now, I'm not suggesting that for 11, 12 years, 13 years of my barbering career, 12 of them owning and operating a business that circles around barbering, that I've been a hustler the whole way through. You see, early on, I had to be a hustler. I had to scrap. I had to fight. I had to push my way through getting off the ground and getting what I want. And then business started to grow. It was fairly organic. It was supported immediately through just the placement of my business, through the people that came and supported it right out of the gate. Now, did I build it? You're damn right I built it. I don't give a shit what politician says otherwise. I built it. There's only one swinging dick that's been here every day, every hour, and fought for this business to be in existence. Look at that effed up beard. And I call myself a barber. Look how uneven that is. So yeah, former President Obama, I did build this shit. And I'm not a ridiculous asshole. I know that along the way I had clients who signed on early. They came, they found something they enjoyed, they liked the way it was provided, and they came back. Over and over again. In fact, they came back so much and they spread the word so rapidly that in the first year, I needed help at the weekends. So a good mate of mine that I met in barber school came to work with me on the weekends. That led to hiring another full-time barber. That led to hiring a second, a third, a fourth full-time barber. And what I built here, President Obama, actually created 22 jobs, 23 to include my own, and a pretty goddamn good little revenue. And this is where you shift over to the entrepreneur that my coach, Garrett J. White, talks about. The entrepreneur who starts giving a shit about growing a business, who actually starts to watch the revenue. Now, there's been plenty of times where there have been opportunities through that 10 or 11 years of owning the open to the public barbershop where I had chance for barbers to contest me about, or to contest with me? What the hell's the proper way of saying that? To debate, to argue with me about how much they had made. You see, I was the one writing the goddamn checks, so I knew very well what they made. Easy to forget, I guess, what you bring in, and I'm walking, talking evidence of that as I sit here in front of this lens and talk to you about this challenge, this problem, this hustler, entrepreneur, CEO king. Peaks and valleys, mountains to climb, and peaks to cast my gaze out over the kingdom that I've taken to trying to create. Step of entrepreneur is where you get into giving a shit. Hey, look at this. We're building something here. This business did $32,000 year one. By year two, with the help of a part-time and a second full-time barber in addition to me, it did 58. As time goes on, you see this little business would be, I'd engage people because I realized as hustler turned entrepreneur, I needed to get a handle on what the hell I was really doing here. So I would seek out the advice of financial people. They say, all right, well, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's talk first of all, what are your numbers? And I would give them my numbers. At this point, it was about a 5-year track record. And I would give them my numbers. And at the end of that, they would say, wait a minute, now go back over those numbers again, because we were asking you for gross revenue and something seems wrong. So I would repeat the numbers to them. And each time, and I talked to 3 of them over time, about a week to 3 weeks, somewhere in there. I talked to 3 different financial experts, people that were going to come in and help me as I was trying to build into a low-level CEO, from hustler to entrepreneur to CEO, while I tried to build a kingdom that I could be king over in the barbering industry. And I've come across a lot of people who have said, hey, you know what? I know a guy, or I am a guy, who wished like hell I could work at your barbershop, but I thought there's no chance. No chance in hell to work at your barbershop because it wasn't up to gentleman barber. It wasn't up to that level. And I think, you know, God damn it, if you don't have a reputation without knowing you have a reputation. And when you have a reputation among clients, that's a recipe for good revenue. When you have a reputation among other barbers in the same industry, in the same area, and those other barbers repeat things to you that they've heard from others in the industry, licensed professionals, and they tell you over and over again, yeah, I'd have killed to work at your barbershop, but I didn't think I was up to your standards. Well, ain't that a son of a bitch? You know, I was getting a little closer to CEO, working for a kingdom without a king. This is all, you know, basic wake-up warrior mentality and philosophy, strategies. Kingdom means a king. What happens if the king of your kingdom is still hustler and entrepreneur? An aspiring CEO, but not quite there. Well, you tell these financial experts, hey, here's my numbers, and they say, okay, something's wrong here. I realize you're just a barber, but I ask you for gross revenue, and the numbers you've given me can't possibly be correct. So they're just, you know, they grow too fast, too quickly. And I said, okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what the hell it is you're asking me for. So what can help? And they said, well, you know, if only you had something like, you know, a ledger or QuickBooks or something. I said, whoa, wait a minute. I have a QuickBooks account. I have my numbers on QuickBooks. They said, okay, well, let's look. I wish I had known that. I made this simpler. Let's get QuickBooks. Let's open it up. Let's look at profit and loss. Let's look at balance sheets. And sure as shit, every time over 3 different financial experts, they would sit down with me and they would look at my QuickBooks reports. And they would say, wow, this is amazing. From year 1 to year 2, you have a $32,000 to $58,000 revenue increase. From year 2 to year 3, from 58,000 to around 96 to 164. You realize these margins are just off the charts, astronomical. It just, nobody gets these numbers, Mitchell. I would be like, shrug my shoulders. Okay, well, like you said earlier, I'm the idiot barber. I'm not a numbers guy, so I don't know what the hell any of that means. And somewhere along the line, of course, they would need a certain amount of money to get my books in order, to help coach me through and teach me through the process of learning how to be more than just an entrepreneur, touting the revenue. Well, revenue is one thing. What I didn't realize is these people, along with my bookkeeper, who happens to be a good friend and relative of mine, were trying to tell me, the entrepreneur in me, look, stop looking at this as a hustler. Stop looking at this as an entrepreneur. Yes, cool, you've built something. It's growing. But are you paying yourself? And I said, well, no, I'm not paying myself. They said, well, see, none of this revenue means shit if you're not paying yourself. So how are we going to get you to where you can pay yourself? Well, I don't know. I didn't know. So the long and short of it is, I didn't pay myself. Like ever. You know, it's 12 years since I opened that public walk-in barbershop. It's 13 full years into my barbering career. In February, I passed the milestone where I am now working into my 14th year as a licensed barber. Most of that I've been a self-employed licensed barber, running a business like a hustler and part-time entrepreneur, but never a CEO. Never a guy who says, okay, you know, your revenue is cute. I don't know if you like football analogies. I do. Here it goes. I don't like cute football. You know, you line up your 11 best guys, I line up my 11 best guys, and we go at it for 4 quarters, and the best team wins, right? When you start flea flickers and double reverses and triple handoff, option offenses, it's cute, you know. Those tricky, cute plays, they get some pretty goddamn good results once in a while. But when you play your game as a part-time entrepreneur and full-time hustler, and you do nothing but cute, you tout all the cute numbers like, hey, 22 jobs created, bitch. Hey, you know, I built a business that was doing over $300,000 a year, bitch. I built a business that was doing, you know, $29,000 a month. Now, if I had ever grown to be that CEO, I'd have slapped that entrepreneur in me across the face. And I'd have said what all these other experts were telling me. Yeah, but when did you pay yourself? It's a cute little endeavor that you've built here. Real cute. How much do you get paid? And the answer is I didn't. In fact, I stood by as an entrepreneur watching this thing build and grow out of control sometimes. The old man that trained me in the craft of barbering used to say, look, slow, steady growth is good. Quick overnight growth is a bad sign. I don't understand why. And he didn't have the words to explain to a kid in my generation. But my coach and his team of coaches, they did. You're a hustler, man. You got a duffel bag full of money. Maybe you got a handgun. I don't know, you know, maybe a shotgun. And you bust things up. You make shit happen. And don't get me wrong, that guy's got to be there. You got a guy that can quote and brag to anybody in the world about, oh, hey, look what I built. Look at this. How many jobs have you created, yo? Over 11 years, this business has done an astronomical numbers I never imagined. Over 11 years, this small podunk little business run by a part-time entrepreneur and full-time hustler did millions. Millions. So one day, I was quoting to my wife, who wasn't very happy because we weren't doing very well personally in the financial world. I was telling her, hey, you know what, babe, I built a business here that's done hundreds of thousands of a year, over years, over millions of dollars, over years, over a decade. It better have. And she said, well, that's great. Wouldn't it have been nice if we could have kept it all? Now, if that's not a dick kick, I don't know what is. But I didn't even listen then. Just kept on entrepreneuring, hustling, entrepreneuring, and hustling. And what that basically amounts to is my plea or share yesterday when I talked about starting all over again. Now, I have a business here. I'm sitting in the very business that I have. The business that I have lied about, all of it was true. All of the details were accurate. But the big lie has been, I didn't pay myself. I worked harder than anyone, and here's what the hustler does. And Coach Garrett talks about this in his training seminar. One day, the entrepreneur says, shit, I haven't paid myself. Where's all this money Where's it all going? And then you have that one profitable year where you end up having to pay the IRS in the state of Utah. And you realize you've signed checks all year long to pay the other barbers in your barbershop. You've watched people clean the fuck up in your barbershop. You've shared and rejoiced with them and with clients that helped, supported along the way, with family members, with friends, with a wife. All these amazing numbers. And you realize, shit, these people, these barbers that work in my place of business, the place I created so that they could be here, are cleaning up. They're making lots of, one guy made over $50,000 in 1 year of barbering, averaging 24 hours a week. I shared this with one of my good friends, Chris. And Chris said, shit, brother, where do I sign up? He would work 20 hours 1 week, he would work 28 hours the next week. This averages to about 24 hours a week. Well, I'm not a numbers guy, but you could make over $50,000 take home working 24 hours a week. And I said, I want that. I want that. But I don't get it. I get all the shit work. I get all the hassle. I get all the bills. I get all the responsibility. You get to answer for it when one of the barbers does something that one of the clients doesn't particularly care for. I get to toe the line and take responsibility for all of that. And where's my paycheck? Well, see, when you operate as an entrepreneur and a hustler, but never a CEO, and certainly damn sure not king of my own kingdom. So I built a kingdom, but I never took position as the king because I couldn't get past entrepreneur. Couldn't pay myself. And along the way, I had a lot of people, advisors, some people experts at advising people like me, and some just friends and family. And I wrote them off easily because what the hell do they know? They don't know. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. And then the experts. Now, how the hell did I know more than the numbers guys? But I convinced myself I did because that hustler came back in and he said, you know what? These sons of bitches are making more money at the business you bleed for every day than you. That's the point at which I said, oh, hell no. All right, I'm done. I'm out. I'm done. I'm out. And that happened long before COVID. So I do want to share something with you because I've decided to become a mountain climber again. As I mentioned yesterday in my share, I've spent a year learning to laugh at the guy I was this time last year. And I've now given up. I've surrendered. I need to be the guy that a year from me now, guy can laugh at. So it's time I have to start the fuck over. And here's how this works. I want to illustrate this real quickly. This is off the cuff. This is impromptu, but a little bit planned. Because this is where I am. This is where I've been. And this is an illustration of it. Well, if you follow, this is a prior peak. Consider these mountains and valleys. This is me standing over here on this corner, right on this side. That guy is on a peak, but this more faint guy over here in the top right, he's a representation of the peak I'm trying to reach. But in the meantime, in the middle here, right through this area, there's an obstacle in the way. And by the way, this is something I've learned from Garrett J. White as well. This peak to pit to peak. And as I currently exist right now, I'm somewhere down in no man's land. And I am looking up here at where I want to be, which is the next peak. And this becomes really easy to despair of. It becomes really, really simple to get disappointed when looking at where I am now and where I need to be. Remember, up here, little gray man. Little gray man is not me yet. That's only who I want to be. And there is a list of things that ultimately will make up sections of what I do over the next period of time, whatever that is, to be able to bridge this gap, this support here, this support, this support, these steps, these learning opportunities, these experiences, these commitments that I have to stay hard, fast, committed to, will propel me a bridge or a path to cross so that I can become this guy. Because ultimately, you can't span a gap. I think I realized that. But I've spent too many months now, maybe even years, thinking I knew what was up. Burning things to the ground like a hustler and God damning it and fuck it all. One more image I want to share, and that is this one right here. So that's Mitchell, prior peak, a pit between me and the goal. But if I expand this out a little bit, you can see that I came from somewhere. There's me at a prior peak, the pit traversed, and I sit here, hoping to come to this point. And I trust and have faith because this is who I used to be. And this is who I am today. And this is where I hope to arrive. But I got to this prior peak somehow. How'd that happen? Well, it happened this way. Another prior peak, pit, to get here. And if you expand this out, this is what a life consists of. Peak to pit, to peak, to pit, to peak, to pit. And look at all of them. To arrive right there. Well, I don't know if you understand why that's powerful to me. Life is a series of challenges. I hate corporate speak. Always have. I hate corporate speak enough that when I had the opportunity, because I've been the hustler, I hustled up some shit to become the entrepreneur that could grow something. And I grew something pretty goddamn amazing here. To lose it all because I didn't pay myself. I never made that gap over to CEO. Realize that all of this growth, all of this building, all of these pits to peaks to pits to peaks, look at all of them. There's where my start button occurs. This is me going from peak to peak to peak in a slow, steady climb. And I illustrate this down at the bottom because 12 years, 12, I'm not saying there were 12 peaks, 12 pits. I'm only saying that it takes some time. Now I got my head straight. Now I know what a liar can look like. I know what I can do to lie to myself. And I'm going to share this with you as I go. From pit to peak. From pit to peak. From pit to peak. So, while I want to be a pirate, I want to be a badass, I want to be a CEO for a change, so that one day I can be king over my kingdom, instead of a hustler, sometime entrepreneur in the kingdom I've worked my ass off for. My name is Mitchell T. Palmer. You know my name, damn it. God bless you. God bless the United States of America, the greatest goddamn nation ever roamed or graced this earth. Now be good, or don't get caught.